I was standing in my kitchen, minding my own business, holding a half-cold cup of coffee when I asked the most basic, innocent question a mom could ever ask. "Hey, sweetheart, so when's the wedding?" Not a big deal, right? Just a regular morning question. But the answer nearly knocked the wind out of me. Max didn't even look up. He kept messing with his keys like he was trying to escape the room without actually moving. Before he could mumble a single thing, Lena, my daughter-in-law with that permanently rehearsed smile, stepped forward, tilted her head like she was posing for a commercial, and said, "Oh, we got married yesterday." Yesterday? She said it like she was telling me the weather forecast, just a casual, sunny skies kind of announcement. Not even a blink, not even a pause. Just yesterday, like their wedding was some quick stop between Starbucks and the grocery store. My fingers tightened around my mug until I thought the damn thing might crack. Yesterday. After everything I'd done for them, every bill I paid, every late-night phone call, every crisis, every tearful, "Mom, can you help us?" I poured myself into their lives and they tossed the biggest moment aside like trash? I blinked at her, thinking maybe she misspoke. Maybe she meant they booked the venue yesterday or talked to the planner yesterday or found a date yesterday. Anything except what she'd actually said. But nope, her face didn't budge. That smile didn't twitch. She leaned in a little, like twisting the knife slow made it more satisfying. "Yeah, yesterday. We only invited special people." That right there felt like someone dumped ice water straight down my spine. My ears rang, my chest tightened. Special people. As if I was optional, as if I was irrelevant. I swear those words echoed inside me. Special people. Not me, not his mother. The woman who raised him, fed him, stayed up with him during every fever, every heartbreak, every dumb teenage mistake. Suddenly I wasn't special enough to attend my own son's wedding? That pain carved deep. I looked straight at Max, waiting for him to defend me, to say something, anything. Maybe, "Mom, I wanted you there," or "It wasn't my idea," or at least a weak, "I'm sorry." But he didn't even lift his eyes. He stood there guilty, staring at the floor like a kid who broke a window. I thought about the dress I had hanging in my closet, the pale pink one. Soft fabric, elegant, but not trying too hard. I picked it so I wouldn't embarrass him. Bought shoes to match, little clutch purse. Hell, I even bought a WEN card and tucked $1,000 inside. All of it, pointless. I thought of every year I stepped in. Rent? Paid. Groceries? Bought. Car repairs? Covered. Furniture? Ordered. Birthdays? Overboard. Holidays? Extravagant. Every time they struggled, I stepped up. Not because I had to, because I loved them. And they repaid me with a secret wedding I wasn't special enough to attend. I felt something inside me slipping, cracking, shifting, like the deeper truth was clawing its way out. I asked, "Why didn't you tell me?" My voice steady, even though my insides were shaking like crazy. I wasn't asking because I didn't know. I asked to see if they lie. They exchanged a look, the kind couples give when they've rehearsed. After they left that morning, I sat alone at the kitchen table, staring at nothing. And slowly, like old memories rising from deep water, the last few years drifted back into my mind. Every moment I'd stepped up, every sacrifice I made, every time I'd put them first without even thinking twice. I remember when Max first brought Lena home. She walked in with that same polished smile, acting sweet, soft-spoken, and grateful. I didn't know back then that she'd been rehearsing that act. I welcomed her with open arms, cooked dinner, asked about her family. I treated her like a daughter. Back then, Max was barely holding things together. His job was shaky, bills kept piling up, and I was always the one who swooped in like some superhero nobody asked for, but everybody depended on. I'd slide him envelopes of cash and say, "Just breathe, sweetheart, I got you." And he always promised he'd pay me back someday. Someday. My God, someday became the most expensive word in my life because someday never came. Instead, the asks kept growing.
Rent, utility bills, that time they got locked out of their apartment, that time their car broke down at 11 p.m. I remember driving across town in the rain that night, umbrella barely holding, jacket soaked. I stood there calling tow companies, paying the fee on the spot, and telling them, "Don't worry, kids." They hugged me, thanked me, promised they'd never forget it. They did. And groceries. Don't even get me started. I must have filled their fridge 100 times. Lena always acted humble, like, "Oh my gosh, this is so generous." But the minute I'd leave, she'd text Max about the kind of snacks I should have bought instead. Yeah, I saw the messages once. Lucky accident. But I swallowed that hurt. Because that's what moms do, right? We swallow, we forgive, we pretend it didn't sting. I kept showing up. I told myself they were young, struggling, stressed. I told myself they'd grow. I told myself they'd appreciate me someday. Someday. That cursed word. I remember the time their power got shut off. They were embarrassed, ashamed. I walked into that dark apartment, used my own card to fix it, and said, "Hey, this happens. Life gets tough." They hugged me, thanked me, promised they'd never forget it. Guess they did. And groceries. Don't even get me started. I must have filled their fridge 100 times. Lena always acted humble, like, "Oh my gosh, this is so generous." But the minute I'd leave, she'd text Max about the kind of snacks I should have bought instead. Yeah, I saw the messages once. Lucky accident. But I swallowed that hurt. Because that's what moms do, right? We swallow, we forgive, we pretend it didn't sting. I kept showing up. I told myself they were young, struggling, stressed. I told myself they'd grow. I told myself they'd appreciate me someday. Someday, that cursed word. I remembered the time their power got shut off. They were embarrassed, ashamed. I walked into that dark apartment, used my own card to fix it, and later that night, after hours of pacing around like some restless ghost, I finally sat down on the couch and grabbed my phone. I wasn't even planning to check anything. My brain was fried, my heart was heavy, but my thumb had a mind of its own and opened Instagram. And there it was, the very first post on my feed. Lena's face, big smile, fake joy sparkling in her eyes like glitter thrown too hard. She was standing in some courthouse hallway, holding a tiny bouquet, leaning into Max like she was starring in a rom-com. My chest tightened. I clicked. And that's when the gut punch hit. Not one photo, not two, a whole damn slideshow. Them kissing, them laughing, them posing with her parents, her sister, her friends, even some coworker I never met. Everybody but me. I zoomed in on one picture, her mom holding Lena's hand while she slipped on a ring. A whole ceremony, not just us, not small and simple, not nothing big. They lied, straight through their teeth, right to my face, and smiled while doing it. Tears welled up before I could stop them. Not loud, dramatic tears. No, the quiet kind. The kind that sneak down your cheeks when your heart is too tired to scream. Watching those photos felt like watching my son erase me from his life in real time. Then I saw the caption, "Surrounded by the people who matter most." My breath caught. The people who matter most. They really made sure I understood my ranking, dead last. Or maybe not even on the list at all. Like I was some random stranger scrolling by. I tapped the comments. Hundreds of "congrats" and "you two are goals" and "OMG, I love this." And then there it was, the part that twisted the knife even deeper. Someone asked, "Where's Max's mom?" And Lena replied with a stupid laughing emoji and "long story." My face burned so hot I thought I'd pass out. A laughing emoji, like my absence was some punchline, Like I was a joke. Like the woman who raised him, fed him, sacrificed for him, loved him fiercely was nothing more than a funny story to tell. I put the phone down and stared at the wall. The room felt colder, like the air had shifted. My hands were shaking, my throat tight. I felt small, invisible, forgotten. How could he allow that? How could he watch her type that and not defend me? Then curiosity dragged me back to the screen, because pain does that. It pulls you toward the very thing hurting you, like touching a bruise to see if it still hurts. I clicked on her mom's profile. Whole album, same photo.
The next morning, I woke up with that same heavy feeling in my chest. You know when sleep doesn't fix anything? Yeah, that. My eyes felt puffy. My head was foggy. And the silence in the house felt louder than usual. Like even the walls knew what had happened. I made coffee, sat at the table, and tried to steady my thoughts. I told myself I wasn't going to think about those damn wedding photos again, but of course my brain replayed every single one. Their smiles, their special people, the laughing emoji. All of it swirling like smoke. And right when I took my first sip, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I stared at it, already exhausted. Something in my gut whispered, "That's her." And sure enough, when I answered, her voice came through way too cheerful for 9 a.m. "Hey, Mom." Mom? Now I was Mom? After she excluded me from the wedding, humiliated me online, treated me like background noise? I swallowed the bitterness rising in my throat and said nothing. Just waited. And she wasted no time jumping to the point. So, she stretched the word like she was trying to sound cute. "Rent's due tomorrow, and Max and I are kind of short again. Think you could help out like last time?" I froze. They weren't even married 24 hours before they started asking for money. Not an apology, not a check-in, not a "thank you" or "we should talk." Nope. Straight to business. Straight to the ATM mother role. Like nothing had happened. Something inside me shifted. Hard. It was like a switch clicked. My heart didn't jump to help them like it always did. My hands didn't reach for my purse. My voice didn't soften. Instead, something cold and clear settled over me. The kind of clarity you get after too much pain. I said, "Lena, why would you call me for that?" She paused, probably thrown off because I wasn't acting like my usual, "Sure, honey, anything you need" self. "Well, because you always help, and we're family?" Her voice cracked a little, like she wasn't expecting pushback. Entitled people never are. I leaned back in my chair, feeling a steadiness I hadn't felt in years. "Family," I repeated softly. "You only invited special people to the wedding, remember? I wasn't one of them." Oh, the silence that dropped on the other end. After hanging up on Lena, I didn't move for a long minute. I just sat there, staring at my phone like it had turned into some kind of portal showing me the last decade of my life. A decade of giving, bending, sacrificing, and getting crumbs in return. That line I'd said, "I only help special people," kept replaying in my head. And every time it did, something inside me got a little stronger, a little clearer, a little braver. Like my backbone grew 2 inches. I stood up, walked around the living room, then back to the kitchen, then back again. Couldn't sit still, couldn't calm down. My thoughts were sprinting in every direction, every memory, every sacrifice, every time I chose them over myself. All of it resurfaced like a tidal wave. I remembered the thousands I spent without blinking. I remembered bailing them out of mess after mess. I remembered being their personal emergency fund every single time. And for what? For a wedding behind my back? And a laughing emoji in the comments section? I stopped pacing. I stood there in the middle of the room and whispered, how much have I even spent on them? I never once added it up. Never. But when you love someone, you don't count. But suddenly, I needed to know. I needed to see it with my own eyes. I grabbed my purse, dumped it on the table, and pulled out old receipts, notes, little scraps I kept just in case. Then I went to the drawer with all my bank printouts, then the one with bills I had covered. The pile grew fast, too fast. I sat down, pulled out a pen, and started calculating, one receipt after another, one transfer after another. Rent I paid, groceries I covered, car repairs, medical bills, furniture, little emergencies, big emergencies, monthly shortfalls. Every bit of it stacked into a mountain. And when I looked at the total, I swear my breath left my body. Not a gasp, not a choke, just a quiet, stunned stillness. The number staring at me wasn't small. It wasn't a favor. It was a salary. A year of my life, maybe two. I pressed my hand over my chest, not because I was panicking, but because I felt something burning inside me. Not anger, not sadness, something deeper, something older, something that had waited too damn long to be heard. They didn't just use me. They drained me. Saying it out loud made my throat tighten. I wasn't imagining things. I wasn't being dramatic. The proof was right there in ink and paper. The next morning, I woke up different. Not lighter exactly, but clearer, sharper. Like somebody finally wiped the fog off the window of my life. I wasn't dragging myself out of bed anymore. I stood up with purpose. Real, solid purpose. I got dressed calmly, made coffee, and sat for a second in silence. And for the first time in years, that silence didn't feel heavy. It felt steady, like the quiet before a very important move, like the moment right before you finally choose yourself. After finishing my cup, I grabbed my purse, picked up the stack of receipts, and headed out the door. I didn't even overthink it. My feet just moved. Because when a woman reaches her breaking point, her intuition becomes her compass, and mine was pointing straight toward the bank. As I walked across the parking lot, the chill in the air hit my face, waking me up even more. It felt symbolic somehow, like life was giving me a little slap on the cheek and saying, "Good, you're awake now. Stay awake." I pushed the glass doors open and walked in. Same bank I had visited 100 times before, always transferring money to them, always trying to keep them afloat. But this time, my steps were different. I wasn't here to help them. I was here to help me. One of the bankers recognized me instantly. Tall man, glasses, always polite. "Good morning. How can we help you today?" he asked with that professional, calm tone. I smiled politely. "I need to stop all automatic transfers to my son's account." "All," I repeated, my voice steady. He typed something, clicked around, then looked back at me with raised eyebrows. "You've been transferring quite a bit for a long time." "Yeah," I said softly. "I know." He hesitated, then asked gently, "Everything okay at home?" And for a second, I almost cracked. Almost. But I didn't. Instead, I inhaled deeply and said, "Everything's finally starting to be." He nodded with a kind of understanding I didn't even know I needed. Then he said, "I'll cancel the transfers immediately. Do you want to set any spending protections or monitoring?" Now that question hit deep. Someone asking how to protect me, for once. "Yes," I said firmly. "Block any future joint account request. Don't let anyone add themselves to my accounts. And no new transfers without me signing in person." He typed rapidly. "Done."
That simple word felt like a stone lifting off my chest.